false wills. But in the while of waiting for this perfection, thou must by law assure to every man of satisfying his bodily, his greater needs, leaving him free to develop any superstructure in accordance with his will, and protecting him from any that may seek to deprive of these fathomable rights. There shall be, therefore, a standard of satisfaction that must vary in detail with race, climate, and other such conditions. And this standard shall be based upon a large interpretation of facts, biological, physiological, and then that by none action thou dost follow the way of the Tao, for thy nature is action, and by hindering the discharge of thy potential thou dost perpetuate and aggravate the stress. If thou ease not nature, she will bring thee to disease free. Therefore every function of thy body and of every other part of thee according to its true will. This also is most necessary, that thou discover the true will in every place. For thou art born into disease, where are many false and perverted wills, monstrous ghosts, parasites, formula vague, and irreverent of evil, vice of profanity, and the fragment of evil craving. And of all these things, the subtlest and most terrible, enemies without pity, destructive to thy will, and of menacing tyranny, even to thyself, are the ideals and standards of the slave gods, false religion, false ethics, even false science. Consider, my son, that word in the call or key of the 30 ethers. Behold the face of your God, the beginning of God, whose eyes are the brightness of the heaven, which provided you for the government of the earth, and her unspeakable verity. And again, let there be no creature upon her same name, or let them differ in qualities, and let there be no creature equal with another. Here also is the voice of true science, crying aloud, dying to is the key of the culture of one receiving beauty and harmony of the diverse now there. Oh my son, that all laws, all systems, all customs, all ideals and standards which tend to produce uniformity, being in direct opposition to will to change through variety, are accursed. Do thou, with all thy might of manhood, strive against these forces, for they resist change, which is life, and thus they are of death. Say not, in fine haste, that such stagnations are unity, even as the last victory of thy free will is unity, for thy movement through free function, according to its potential. be upon the path. Yet for thy neighbor it may not be so sick or men on horseback. Thou speakest the foot soldier upon his way indeed. What hast thou done to the birdman? Thou must have simple laws and customs to express the general will, and so prevent the tyranny of violence that yield the blood and fire and nuts. Now then, here thou wilt return to be the limits of the civil law upon the rock of thy Consider the bond of a cold climate, how it maketh man a slave. He must have shelter and food with fierce toil. Yet thereby he becomes strong against the elements, and his moral force waxeth, so that he is master of such men as live in lands of sun, where bodily needs are satisfied without struggle. Consider also him that willeth to excel in speed or in battle, how he denieth himself the food he craveth, and all pleasures natural to him, putting himself under the harsh order of a trainer. So by this bondage he hath, at the last, his will. Now then, the one by natural, and the other by voluntary friction have come each to greater liberty. This is also a general law of biology, for all development is structuralization, that is, a limitation and specialization of an originally indeterminate protoplasm. The latter may therefore be called free in the definition of a pedant. There shall be no property in Kitover. Every man and every woman, one faith is a to get the body for the enjoyment of the exercise of that right shall not be punished either by law or by custom. There shall be no punishment by a bylaw. So claimant of liberty, or the proclamation of respect. For this freedom shall be respected of all, seeing that it is the right of the bodily will. For this same reason thou shalt cause full restriction and punishment of any who may seek to limit that freedom for the sake of his own profit or desire or ideal. Every man and every woman hath full right either to grant or to deny the body, as the will speaketh within. This being custom, the evils of love, which are many, extending to the disturbance not only of body but of mind, and obscure paths shall little
Texas will actually look at you as the aggressor, even though I'm the attack you, or if even if
Well,
I
let me
hit you
ask you a
first. So
question.
you understand that?
Yeah, so let me ask you, okay? One
That's how
person
that
walks up.
state
All right,
runs.
cool. All right, so one person walks up. This is Austin Metcalf, 1v1, pull out a knife, stab him in the chest. You would say a reasonable person would say that's disproportional, right? Of course, right? Hands to knife. Doesn't really seem like it matches. Incompatible. Okay, cool. Now we change the scenario to 9 people going against one person. Is it now reasonable to defend yourself? Because 9 people could
Okay,
do some
now
serious.
see
Hold
what you
on,
did is you changed the
brother,
variable.
Can I finish the question? This is a consistency check, okay? I'm pointing out that if you were to perceive that there's 9 people that are underneath the tent that are all going to do bodily harm on him, it seems reasonable that you're able to use a knife if there's 9 of them. If there's only one, it doesn't seem reasonable. That's the reason why we're having
Okay,
just hold on. That's the reason why we're having a discussion about who was perceived a threat underneath the tent. You said it was irrelevant. I just proved to you like how it's relevant. Okay? This goes into his psychology, what he perceives, and what a reasonable person would perceive as a proportional response. Okay? That matters. It's very relevant here. And I don't know why you brought it to do in the track, but well, whatever, it doesn't really matter.
okay. Let me respond to that real quickly. Is that now the there was
Don't
another
keep yourself
case
a
in
whole
Texas.
lot.
No, there was a young man, but it was another case people were talking about, and it was between this white kid and this Hispanic kid. I believe the white kid's name was Casey, and it was a similar case to the Carmelo Anthony case, except the difference was the Casey kid, I guess he had an issue with this other kid, this Hispanic kid, and they were supposed to fight each other. And I guess after school, they met in the bathroom, and this is where they had their altercation. In this case, what happened was supposedly the kids who were buddies with the Hispanic kid, they supposedly closed the door to the bathroom and locked it so that the Casey couldn't escape. And so he ended up pulling a knife and stabbing his Hispanic kid. He got manslaughter. Okay, the white kid got manslaughter. Casey, he got manslaughter. He's supposed to do 10 years. And but what happened was, I think he did a much shorter sentence because of they said it was good behavior. He had good behavior or something while he was in there. But what happened? See, but that's not the case with Carmelo Anthony. With Carmelo Anthony, they weren't in a bathroom with the door locked. Okay, they were in a tent, and there was a confrontation between them two. No one, or at least the way the evidence was presented, no one prevented Carmelo Anthony's escape. So he didn't have a justification to escalate. So that would have been the big difference between those two cases.
Yeah, but I mean, like, does that really make a difference? And I'll explain why. If you have a group of people, you're standing in just a complete open field. Let's say it's just a straight open field, and you're still in a circle, right, of a group of people that are in close proximity, and the same thing happens. You could run. You could run any which way. You could go 360, it's not going to matter. But the point is that there's going to be, you're still outnumbered. The chances of somebody catching you are going to be much greater, and I mean, like, it's still there, it doesn't matter.
Hey guys, um, did I hear me?
Hey G, how you doing? Welcome. Yeah, we
I'm
can hear
well,
you. How you doing?
thank you. Hey, Law, who testified that no one prevented his escape? Law, are you there? Guess it's not there anymore. Right after speaking. Okay.
I'd like to see what happens when this guy actually does get adequate representation, because that was piss poor legal representation. Period. That was piss poor. I don't know what the outcome is. I don't know how that's going to shape the outcome of the case, good or bad, in between. But I can tell you for a solid fucking fact that was piss poor representation that kid had. Um, and the first grounds of appeal. I mean, shit. This is why uh, a lot of people don't like to do major crime cases, right? Because the first level of appeals, especially in a murder case, um, a lot of people, like, it actually does get automatically appealed in most jurisdictions. And the first that you had, did your attorney give you a completely adequate representation in that matter? I don't believe he did. I think this guy fell well below the fucking line. Well below the line. The concessions that were made were ridiculous and dumb. Well, never made those concessions for my client. Period. That kid to testify on the stand. I maintain that from day one. I'm not letting that kid testify.
So the thing is Shook testified today that, like, that's what's going to get him the new trial. He testified,
Well, no,
he believes that Shook testified, his attorney testified that it was, he believed that the information that Carmelo had to defend himself would have given a completely different opportunity for Carmelo Anthony. So, and the other thing I'm going to say too is I was always interested in the fact that the prosecutor and the defense both worked earlier, both worked together for years at another law firm.
They're in the same firm?
Yeah,
Get the
they
fuck
both,
out of here.
They did. They both worked for some I don't remember.
A big box firm, just a random big box firm.
I think it was actually called Shook, Gunter and Worski.
Okay.
I think that's what it was called, which is hilarious. So it was literally, like, they literally worked together. The firm was literally named after and Worski, the prosecutor and the defense.
Wait, they were partners.
They were yes, they were law partners.
Either they were partners or their father partners.
They were law partners.
Get the fuck out of here. That is completely. You had a lane in there, a wiggle out lane. When I ran the big box firm, I don't know if you know what I meant by that. There's the large law firms, right, that have 27 associates in it, and if I worked at the same firm as somebody else at a big box firm, there's, hit or miss chance that we're going to actually interact on a meaningful level, but that's your fucking partner on this case. Hey, yo, what the fuck? That's crazy. Yeah, this guy. Law schools are going to teach lessons about this when it comes to adequacy of counsel. It was terrible.
I have to agree with that. I remember hearing from, there's a bunch of women that I followed that went to the court every single trial. They try to get one of the 27 public seats. Well, some of them got in, and okay. The ones when some got in, others didn't, and so they would still congregate outside, and they would wait for the other to come out with the notes, and then they would share notes, and they did this. I have the names. I could back channel. You could find them on Facebook, because they're still going to the court. They've been there every single day while it's happening now. And what was interesting is that they had said, somebody was just like, I don't know why he's not. What is it called when you object? That there was like no objections, and then there was even a point where the defense attorney like asked the judge if he could object.
You out your mind.
And no, and the
you
judge
out your mind.
And the judge was like, "What
I can't tell you
even
that.
asking me?
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you if you can or can't."
Exactly. The judge was like, what are you eat? Like, what the?
Meanwhile, we call that pro se shit. That's pro se shit. That's when somebody represents themselves That's pro se shit. Oh, that's the type of shit that you'd expect from them. Judge, object to this? And then I snickered to myself while the judge gives me the exact same answer that I gave you. I can't tell you that. Shit. You should have had a fucking lawyer.
I mean, I'm not sure how common it is for former law partners to end up in the same trial, as a conflict or interest or not. I don't know, because I mean, like, potentially, if you're on different law firms, it could cause competition. But I mean, like,
I'm
still,
gonna want that
I
client
feel,
to sign off on that. If they're partners,
yeah, I think so
if they were
too,
partners,
right?
if there was because, like I said, my analysis changed when you revealed that they were partners, right? If associates at the same firm, or if one was an associate and one was a partner, maybe that's a little bit more different, right? But the analysis changes, right? When we're law partners, I'm gonna at least need Carmelo or his family, whomever it is, to sign off on that. That's something they need to sign on.
Yeah, I just feel like I wouldn't want that. Yeah, I just wouldn't want that. I don't want there to be any form or interpersonal anything history that would cause somebody to or not do something and have all of that. I just wouldn't want that.
Hell no. Hell no, I wouldn't want that. 337.
I guess the judge, they got out and the judge said that he's going to email his decision, that he has to sleep on it just now.
Oh, he's deliberating? Okay.
That he's gonna give his answer in an email.
Oh, he's going to issue a ruling. Okay. He's going to issue a written ruling. He's probably some unfortunate poor law clerk somewhere is going to have to do a shit ass ton of research tonight and over through the weekend. Judge ain't doing it. That might work.
I'm worried. I guess what I'm reading right now is that he announced that he made his decision on the motion for a new trial, but he's not going to announce it in open court. Instead, he's going to
file the bitch electronically.
He's going to send it to the attorneys by email. I don't know. That doesn't sound good. I don't know.
That means he's probably going to issue an opinion with the shit too.
But what does that mean? I just got back.
I concur. I don't think that looks good.
That means he's going to, he's probably likely wants to support his decision with case law, at which point he's not inclined to read the whole damn decision off. He'd rather issue an opinion brief, or a briefed ruling rather, with supported with case law and blah, 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 right? That's what that means.
I feel like he's doing it in fear of his life.
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this. That is actually not uncommon.
It's not uncommon?
No, it's not. Hold on. That is not uncommon, which means it can be common. Yes, that is not uncommon. A litany of decisions brought back, and the judge was like, "All right, I'll issue my opinion. I'll issue my order. I'll issue my order." So that's not uncommon. I mean, and that's been from like the $1 million cases all the way down to the insignificant ejectment cases I've had judges do that in. That actually is not uncommon. That doesn't shock me, if you see what I'm saying. Oh.
So, Beema, you think this means one way or the other, no new trial?
I don't know. It just doesn't feel.
Let's not say that.
I don't want to say it, but if I had to bet on it, I would. I just have a feeling that it just doesn't. I don't know, but that's with my uneducated opinion. If G is saying that this is common, that might change it. But I feel like
that's not enough to make a determination.
It's just that with something like this, because there's so many emotions, and that there's a bunch of people, like everybody in the parking lot, everybody's waiting for this. I don't know. I feel like. I don't know. No,
again, don't worry about that part. That doesn't scare me. Nor does it make me excited either. Let me say that part too. That's a two-sided sword. That's two-edged sword there. Neither does it excite me, nor does it scare me, because that is just some common shit. There's really nothing to glean from that unless you were actually in and you saw the judge's emotions, reactions, some of the questions that he was interjecting back towards the attorneys, because oftentimes the questions, during a motion hearing, the judge will question the attorneys, and drill them on a couple of different points. The questions that the judge drills on can be very instructive. You know what I mean? My dad, 40-year attorney, just retired, right? He would, he got me there to go in. One thing he always said is, don't be afraid, don't be shook if the judge is like hitting you and drilling you with a whole bunch of questions left and right. Because most times when they're doing that, they feel like you got a point, and they just want ground to stand on. They want to see how strong your foundation is before they lean in your direction. So heavy scrutiny on a person's position, could actually be a positive indicator.
Yeah, well, I feel like with this whole thing, as much attention that has been drawn to this case, from what I could see, I believe that it was Carmelo Anthony's family that kind of failed him in this, because even though I think he got a lot of money in like the crowdfunding, but there was an initial change, and the judge, I believe the first judge that was over his case that actually gave him bail, was a black female, and they allowed it to be changed from her to this other gentleman, the Roach, Judge Roach, who was the one that ended up presiding over the the trial. Initially, his family did have a black attorney, and I believe if they had kept their first attorney, they probably would have won.
What does the family have to do with that decision now? Help me out.
It does, because here's why. The family was the one making the decisions. And what you need to understand is that they had all this money. They're supposed to be a decent lawyer was going to cost you about $20,000. Okay, a lot of people have to put up a house, or they have to put up collateral and stuff like that. The people who go and they get these lawyers who can fight these cases, usually they have a favorable outcome. His family, they took that money, and let me finish, bro.
Okay.
This family, they took that money. They bought a second house, which was very questionable, because that money was not supposed to be for them to buy a house. That money was supposed to be for Carmelo's legal.
Was that money earmarked?
And it was the crowdfunding money.
Was it earmarked?
I don't know if it was earmarked or not, but I know that there was crowdfunding money.
You can't say what it was supposed to go for.
No, it's not about what it was. That was the understanding, is that he needed the money. The people who were donating to him knew he needed it for his legal defense. They weren't giving him that money so his dad can go and buy another house.
Okay.
And then
I'm glad you're back, because you like to make these like conclusory statements. There was one thing that you said earlier that I asked a question to you about, and then that you were there, and I don't believe you heard me. Who testified that no one prevented Carmelo's escape?
Well, see, here's the thing: is they were shown no evidence. The way the evidence was presented, they didn't present any evidence that his escape wasn't
okay, I like prevented. That's not what you said the first time.
So the way they portrayed it, now maybe if it's in a new trial, they'll trace. But in the last one, that's how it went, and what it was is that could have there were a lot. His defense attorney agreed with the prosecutor to bring Carmelo Anthony up to the stand, which was a horrible blunder, because that was his only way to defend himself. Only way. Yes, it was, because
how many cases have you tried?
If he'd have got up there he would have been able to at least tell his side of the story. He could have sold to the jury, hey, this is what happened, and I did this because of that, or he had that chance. By him not going up there, that did a lot of damage to him.
No, it
His
didn't.
fate was
Hey, how
sealed.
many? Are you a lawyer at law?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not up here because I'm a
fuck,
lawyer.
just say
I'm
no.
up here to
God
discuss
damn,
the-
motherfucker, shit, man. Yeah, don't be afraid to answer. Just say no. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to say no. Try it. No, I'm not. I said it for you. No worries. Fuck it. That's a horrible decision to put a 17-year-old non-sophisticated witness on the stand with a seasoned prosecutor with a mountain load of evidence that they're trying to bring upon you. That is a blunder of a decision. I mean, the fucking man hours that would have to go into ensuring that this kid isn't going to get fucked up on that stand or tripped up on that stand is immense. My God. I would assign, for me to sign off on that kid going on that stand,
it's finally time.
I would have to assign a whole fucking attorney with him that started from day fucking one to work with this kid on testifying from day fucking one. It's not just as simple as you get up to stand and tell your story and the jury's like, okay, yeah. There's a whole other fucking attorney who's about to drill the shit out your ass. Do you mean to tell me 17-year-old emotionally immature, non-sophisticated witness is going to stand up to a strict scrutiny examination by a prosecutor?
Yeah, well, see, I understand what you're saying, but that still would have been better than not going up there at all, because he could have. And see, here's the thing: I understand cross-examination and stuff like that. I understand that, but they should have. If it had been me, I would have coached him to go up on the stand, because that would have been very important. He needs to get his story out. Damn the cross-examination.
No, what you need to do.
So that the jury
doubt is reasonable in a reasonable scenario that the jury can say, you know what, I can believe that this reasonably happened. I can believe that this also reasonably occurred over here. So that's called reasonable fucking doubt. Okay, did OJ go on the stand? No. Because the attorneys were successful in setting up reasonable doubt. In this circumstance, I would have cross-examined the fucking shit out of that goddamn brother who was standing right next to him. I'd nail that motherfucker to the cross on that goddamn stand. And I would have done a lot more than that. And I don't need to put my client on the stand to do that shit. It would take some serious convincing and demonstration in front of me, watching him get fucking drilled by me and everybody else in my firm and say, you know what, that son of a bitch is holding up there. Okay, we statement. One slip up, one mistaken slip up, one misinterpretation of a question opens the door up to a litany of shit.
Yeah, but also if the prosecutor gets up there for their cross-examination and the jurors perceive that the prosecutor is an asshole, they're not going to listen to the prosecutor. It could go either way. It can go either way. Okay, there's that, but that's the whole thing. Is each side gets a chance to present their side of the story. I've seen cases where there's someone being cross-examined, and then the prosecutor comes up there, or the other comes up there, and if the jury sympathizes with the person that's on the stand, they may not listen to the attorney. They may block the attorney out. They may remember it's a jury trial. It's what the jury decides. It's how they feel about it. That works in our
after your client gets on the stand. You can't.
Well, that's your opinion. Your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. We two different people.
You cannot unring a bell.
I challenge Jim Lanham, the clown, to a 50-minute debate on any topic.
I'm sorry. Let me think. How many clients have I ever put on in criminal trial?
Let me think. Dozens over 20 years.
I'm trying to.
You can't even think about it.
I don't think I put a single client.
I don't think I put a single
I'm thinking all the way back now.
I'm looking all the way back in my memories.
I put a single sign on saying to testify.
I didn't think I did. I didn't think I was a lawyer.
I don't think so.
I didn't think I was a lawyer for a lot of years.
It is a
Hello?
it is a huge.
Consider the bond of a cold climate, how it maketh man a slave. He must have shelter and food with fierce toil. Yet thereby he becometh strong against the elements, and moral force waxeth, so that he is master of such men as live in lands of sun, where bodily needs are satisfied without struggle. Consider also him excel in speed or in battle, how he denieth himself the food he craveth, and all natural to him, putting himself under the harsh order of a trainer, so by this bondage he hath at the last his will. Now then the one by natural, and the other by voluntary restriction have come each to greater liberty. This is also a general law of biology. For all development is structuralization, that is, elation and specialization, an originally indeterminate protoplasm, which latter may therefore be called free. In the definition of a pedant, there shall be no gravity here and that. There shall be no gravity here and that. There shall be no gravity here and that. There shall be no property in flesh. Every man, every woman hath right indefeasible to give the body for the of any other. The exercise of that right shall not be punished either by law or by custom. There shall be no penalty by laws or curtailment of liberty, of rights, of willful social esteem. But this freedom shall be respected of all, seeing that it is the right of the bodily. Same reason thou shalt cause full restriction and punishment of any who may seek to limit that freedom for the sake of his own profit or desire or ideal. Every man and every woman have full right either to grant or to deny the body as the will speaketh. This being made custom, the evils of love, which are many, extending to the disturbance not only of body but of mind, and that in obscure parts shall little by little disappear from the face of his unspeakable glory. There shall be no gravity, there'll be no gravity, there shall be no gravity, there shall be no gravity. The child of mine own bowels, how shall I write to thee concerning children? For herein is the good knot in our whole rope of wisdom, and it may not be severed by sword. No, not of a greater than Alexander the two-horned. And it is a balance like that of the egg, and the violence of a Columbus will but crack the tender shell which we must full preserve. Now sentinel to this fortress standeth a certain paradox of general application, and in this large order I will declare it, so that its particular sense may enlighten thy mind hereafter. And this is the paradox, that there are bonds which lead to slavery and bonds which lead freedom. All we are bound in many fetters by environment, and it is for ourselves in great part to determine whether they shall enslave us or emancipate us. And I will make clear this thesis to thee by the way of illustration. Property
effort in thy way, yet it is the way of thy will. And I say not even that thou dost well to haste therein, for the whole matter lied in thy will. And to force thyself against thy nature would be an obstacle to thy passion. But if I urge thee to run, well, this race as an athlete, it is because I have perceived in thy nature that fierce lust and mighty concentration in that will. And I write this letter unto thee, knowing well that thou wilt rejoice exceedingly therein, since it is an expression of thine own will, and it may be a discovery thereof, which thing thou vehemently seekest. I charge thee therefore that thou permit none to tyrannize any hidden thought, nor to crush in harmony the blaspheme and great liberty, but of love in the sight of the great cosmos, or of his vicegerent. And in the little
Water magazine.
Consider the bond of a cold clay night, how it maketh man a slave. He must have shelter and food with fierce toil, yet thereby he becometh strong against the elements. And his moral force waxeth, so that he is master of such men as live in lands of sun, where bodily needs are satisfied without struggle.
Consider also him that willeth to excel in speed or in battle, how he denieth himself the food he craveth, and all pleasures natural to him, putting himself under the harsh order of a trainer. So by this bondage he hath at the last his will. None the one by natural, and the other by voluntary restriction have come each to greater liberty. This is also a general law of biology, for all development is structuralization, that is, a limitation and specialization of an originally indeterminate protoplasm, which latter may therefore be called free in the definition of a pedant.
There shall be no promoting in flesh. Every man and every woman have a right. In death he's able to give the body for the enjoyment of any other. The exercise of that right shall not be punished, either by law or by custom. There shall be no penalty, either by loss or curtailment of liberty, of rights, of wealth,
or of social esteem. But this freedom shall be respected of all, seeing that it is the right of the bodily will. For the same reason thou shalt cause full restriction and punishment of any who may seek to limit that freedom for the sake of his own profit, or desire, or ideal. Every man and every woman hath full right either to
unspeakable free.
Though that art mine own bowels, how shall I write to thee concerning children? For herein is the Gordian knot in our whole rope of wisdom, and it may not be severed by sword. No, no greater than Alexander the Two-Horned, and it is a balance like that of the egg, and the violence of a Columbus will but crack the tender shell, which we must first of all preserve.
Now sentinel to this fortress standeth the certain paradox of generosity, and in this large order I will declare it, so that its particular sense may enlighten thy mind hereafter. And this is the paradox, that there are bonds which lead to slavery, and bonds which lead to freedom. All are bound in many fetters by environment, and it is for ourselves in great part to determine whether they shall enslave us or emancipate us. And I will make clear this thesis to thee by the way of illustration. There shall be no property in human thought. Let each think as he will concerning the universe, but none seek to impose that thought upon another by any grant of penalty in this world or any other world. Look, now though I enkindle thee to effort in thy way, yet it is the way of thy will, and I say not even that thou dost well to haste therein, for the whole matter lieth in thy will, and to force thyself against thy nature would be an obstacle to thy passage. But if I urge thee to run, well, this race as an athlete, it is because I have perceived in thy nature that fierce lust and mighty concentration in that well. And I write this letter unto thee, knowing well that thou wilt rejoice exceedingly therein, since it is an expression of thine own will, and it may be a discovery thereof, which thing thou vehemently seekest. I charge thee therefore not to recognize any other in thought to threaten, nor in any other wise to blaspheme the great liberty of our Father, the Son, and the great cosmos, or of his best origins in the
Consider the cold cremate, how it maketh man a slave. He must have shelter and food with fierce toil, yet thereby he becomes strong against the elements, and his moral force waxeth, so that he is master of such men as live in lands of sun, where bodily needs are satisfied without. Consider also him that willeth to excel in speed or in battle, how he denieth himself the food he craveth, and all pleasures natural to him, putting himself under the harsh order of a trainer. So by this bondage he hath at the last his will. Now then the one by natural, and the other by voluntary restriction have come each to greater liberty. This is also a general law of biology, for all development is structuralization. That is, a limitation and specialization of an originally indeterminate protoplasm, which latter may therefore be called free in the definition of a pedant. There shall be no property in human flesh. Every man and every woman hath right into fees of the body for the enjoyment of any other. The exercise of that right shall not be punished by law or by custom. There shall be no penalty either by loss or curtailment of liberty, of rights, of wealth, of social esteem. But this freedom shall be respected of all, seeing that it is the right of the bodily will. For this same reason thou shalt cause full restriction and punishment of any who may seek to limit that freedom for the sake of his own profit, desire, or ideal. Every man and every woman hath full right either to grant or to deny the body, as the will speaketh within. This being made custom, the evils of love, which are many, tending to the disturbance not only of body but of mind, and now in obscure paths, shall little by little disappear from the face of his unspeakable glory. So that of the child of mining bowls, how shall I write to thee concerning children? For herein is the Gordian yoke in a whole rope of wisdom, and it may not be severed by sword, no, not of a greater than Alexander the two-horned, and it is a balance like that of the egg, and the violence ever Columbus will but crack the tender shell which we must first of all preserve. Now sentinel to this fortress standeth a certain paradox of general application, and in this large order I will declare it, so that its particular sense may enlighten thy mind hereafter. And this is the paradox, that there are bonds which led to slavery, and bonds which led to freedom. All we are bound in many fetters by environment, and it is for ourselves in great part to determine whether they shall enslave us or emancipate us. And I will make clear this to thee by the way of illustration. There shall be no property in human thought. Let each think as he will concerning the universe, but let none seek to impose that thought upon another by any threat of penalty in this world or any other world. Look now, the Lion King will be too effort in thy way. It is the way of thy
But if I urge thee to run well this race as an athlete, it is because I have perceived in thy nature that fierce, mighty concentration in that will. And I write this letter unto thee, knowing well that thou wilt rejoice exceedingly therein, since it is an expression of thine own will. And it may be a discovery thereof, which thing thou vehemently seekest. I charge thee therefore that thou permit none to tyranny any other in thought, or to threaten, or in any other wise to blaspheme the great deity of our Father, the Son, in the great cosmos, or of his Viceregent. In the little.
Consider the bond of a cold climate, how it make man a slave. He musters shelter and food with fierce toil, and thereby he becomes strong against the elements, and his moral force waxeth, so that he is master of such men as live in lands of sun where bodily needs are satisfied without struggle. Consider also him left to excel in speed or in battle, how he denieth himself the food he craveth, and all pleasures natural to him, putting himself under the harsh order of a trainer, so by this bondage he hath at the last his will. Now then, one by natural, and the other by voluntary restriction have come each to greater liberty. This is also a general law of biology, for all development is structuralization. That is a limitation and specialization of an originally indeterminate protoplasm, may therefore be called free in the definition of a patent. There should be no property in human flesh. Every man and every woman has the right, indefeasible, to give the body for the enjoyment of any other. The exercise of life right shall not be punished either by law or by custom. There shall be no penalty of the blind loss or curtailment of liberty, of rights, of wealth, or of social esteem. But this freedom shall be respected of all, seeing that it is the right of the bodily will. For this same reason thou shalt cause full restriction and punish of any who may seek to limit that freedom for the sake of his own profit or desire or ideal. Every man and every woman hath full right either to grant or to deny the body, as the will speaketh within this being made custom, the evils of love, which are many, extending to the disturbance not only of body but of mind, and that in obscure paths shall little by little disappear the peace of his unspeakable glory.
No longer a well-oiled machine that's moving along. Now, there's always been a degree of corruption. And we all know that, because there are just too many people, at the very least, trying to curry favor from people in positions of power in government who can help them. And you're absolutely right. This happens as well on the level. So it's a question, I think, of degree. But then beyond that, it's a question of whether or not the it ought to be investigated, and whether those investigations in the aggregate help the people or just serve as a distraction.
Actually, it's the question is easily answered.
You have to wait, King. We go one at a time. Sorry about that, but I'll get to you. Don't worry, I will get to you.
Well, you're kind of long-winded, though.
I am.
Because you have an agenda.
I have an agenda. Okay, thank you for pointing it out. If you don't like the way the room is run, then this is not the room for you. I recognize, King, that I have a unique style and that I am not everybody's cup of tea. Apparently, I am not yours, and I will just have to live with that. Somehow, I will shake it off and move on. The point is, I told you the rules, and you did not want to adhere by the rules. I have no idea what your position is, so I didn't remove you from the stage because I disagree with you. And by the way, please back channel me and tell me what my agenda is so that I understand it. Because I didn't realize I had an agenda other than trying to encourage people to discuss a topic.
Gary, I can tell you your agenda. Your agenda is keep the things in perspective, make sure individual, when they come to the stage, we don't have time limit. We talk what we like. We don't argue with each other. You don't agree with me. It's a perfect. And this agenda you have, I don't know what to do with you.
I know. I feel so bad for that. Thank you for pointing out. Thank you.
I'm moving to Cuba.
Thank you for that, Alan. Finally, after all these years, Alan's been with me for over 20 years. 26 years now, Alan, we've been doing this.
Exactly. We got old to get.
Yeah. Of course, it didn't start on Clubhouse because Clubhouse wasn't around 26 years ago. It started on Pal Talk. But we've been together that long. You finally figured me out. Took you long enough. Marshall, followed by Scott.
I don't know what they'll investigate, but they're going to investigate the ever-loving daylights out of him. So, stuff about crypto, stuff about him hawking watches, stuff about violating the Emoluments Clause. They'll probably investigate his military actions. They're just going to investigate it all. At least that's my perception anyway.
To what end, then, Marshall? Is there a positive end, or is it just to help curry favor?
I think for the ones who genuinely care, oversight is the answer. I think for the people who are, hoping to make hay out of it, they want to embarrass them as much as humanly possible. So,
are there positive aspects of such investigations? Is my first question to you. And my second question is, as I pointed out earlier, does this become a seesaw effect depending on who's in power at what time? Is this like our future? One party investigating the other, and then the other investigating the first?
Yes, oversight, and probably yes, with divided government, you will have, in particular, if the Democrats control the House, you will have the power for investigation and subpoena and inquiry found in the House. I hope they don't impeach him. I don't think it's practical or even advisable. But they're certainly going to do oversight. And the people who genuinely care about the oversight and think he's really genuinely stepped over his bounds, they'll be there. But so will the folks who, want to be Machiavellian and make hay of it all. Right? They're going to exist at the same time. And I don't know which side of that will win out. I don't know whether the cynical side does or whether the altruistic side, in genuinely trying to oversee and provide a check on president of an opposing party versus just being an ass. So we'll see. The Democrats have as many people who can be asses as the Republicans can. So
as a Republican, are you looking forward to these investigations, or do you view them with a degree of trepidation?
I look forward to some of the fact-finding stuff. I don't look forward to the, like, let's make them look as bad as humanly possible game that will quickly ensue, where they hold public.
And let me just ask you one other question. What's not part of this discussion is what Anson refers to as the gride. I'm beginning to believe, based on some of my most recent social media interactions, that we basically have a social media civil war. It's certainly not bloodletting, thank God, but it is gut-wrenching nonetheless that people who have had lifelong relationships are discarding them over politics. That's, to my mind,
I don't
not
think
tragic.
politics is ever worth friendship. If that means you have to put politics to the wayside, do so. Your friendships and your family are more important than that.
Right. So I get that, but I'm just saying that's what's happening in our country, and so I'm wondering whether that should be taken into consideration as a party in control of the House, whether it's the Democrats this time, whether 2 years hence it's the Republicans, whether they ought to take into consideration the effect on the body politic and how it is just helping widen potentially that gap rather than
I think you should play the game, but not so hard you'll break the board, like upend the pieces. Right? The question is, do people have a similar sense of restraint, understanding that you can strain the system past a breaking point? Right? You can certainly break it. The idea is to play with bend it but not break it.
Yeah. I think it's a very delicate balance, and it's really up to us, the citizens, to take whatever information we get and use it in a positive manner. I just am very troubled by how we, as so-called adults, handle the information that's presented to us, to the point where we discard our relationships with other people and treat people with a lack of respect.
I mean, I think the extreme partisanship makes that oversight, can make that oversight a bit more toxic. When it's not about oversight and it is about partisan gotcha, it just becomes that much more toxic on the rest of the population.
Of course, if this occurs, that the Democrats do wrestle control of the House, and if it occurs that these committee hearings are held and investigations are launched, people who tend to be supportive of the Democrats will say this is oversight, and people who tend to be supportive of the Republicans will say that. Right, we'll say that this is, what, as you put it, gotchanism.
And I'm sure there will be a combination of actual oversight and genuine witch hunt.
Yeah.
And the witch hunt will be sponsored and pushed on by extra partisanship.
But here's the good news, Marshall. It will then fall upon the good people of the Critical Thinking Forum to suss it all out for the rest of humanity. So, we have a responsibility, and I know that we will live up to the challenge, Marshall. We in the Critical Thinking Forum. Thank you, Marshall. We'll go to Scott, followed by Les.
All right, here we are. Can you hear me okay, Gary?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Gary, yeah. Okay, I'm just doing something here. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I obviously the Democrats are going to do some investigating. There'll be. It's interesting. I was reading something that one of the things they were saying was that with some of the business stuff like Apple and Alphabet and Palantir and Blackstone and BlackRock, that they'll report that they'll investigate the businesses, right? That that on the business end, because then the executive privilege stuff can't be sort of thrown down, and all the obfuscation can happen. But so that was kind of interesting. So yeah, they're gonna obviously look at the family business and financial interests, including the foreign investments and the cryptocurrency and the government contracts and spending. Um, the sort of relationship to wealthy individuals, the stuff, all the pay to play stuff, the potential abuses of federal power, the crazy stuff about, oh gosh, was it yesterday in the room somebody made the point that Trump's invested in detention centers and making money by detaining people. Yeah, that's just crazy. I mean, this is just insane. So yeah, I think that it will be partisan and zealous, of course. Yeah, I mean that's the nature of the beast. I mean, again, I've said this a million times. The founders imagined that we would have enough ambition and enough interest in powers of the branches that it wouldn't require partisanship to do oversight, that the branches themselves would be jealous for power, each other's power and its own power. That doesn't work, right? I mean, what happens is when you have one party government, there is an oversight, or very rarely oversight. So yeah, it will be partisan, but it's oversight we're going to get of an administration that desperately needs it, right? And this is the way our system works now. It sounded way. We only get oversight that's partisan. So, I mean, maybe this is the argument for divided government. I don't know. It's less efficient, but you do get more accountability. I wish we got accountability without divided government, but I wish we could get things done and have a government that function with integrity. It doesn't seem like we're often capable of that. So yeah, I think that yeah, I mean, it would be. I hope it's not. I hope the Democrats are not as tawdry, as vile, as vitriolic as Trump is. Just my own. I'd like my own team to. I'd like a little bit of Michelle.
Oh, just you wait, Scott. It'll reach all new lows. I promise you. You don't think it can? It'll collapse.
Mike, please. Thank you.
Probably so. Probably so. I mean, I wish we had a little more Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high, but I think that's probably a little overly optimistic. But yeah, that's what we have to. If we have to take some ugly partisanship to get real accountability, it's probably a price worth paying.
Well, you said the founders envisioned one, but it's not working out. But it did in the past. Nixon was not removed from office by the Democrats. Nixon was removed from office by his own party leaders who came and visited him at the Oval Office and said, "Mr. President, it's time for you to leave." And he understood that and he left.
And he knew he would have lost, right? He knew he would have lost that. If Nixon had Fox News, he could have fought it.
Well, the point is, yes, so the landscape has changed tremendously, obviously. We have cable news, we have the internet, and that helps feed the change. But I don't think that the founders miscalculated. The problem is maybe less the people in government and more the constituency. They reflect the constituency. If there was this groundswell in among the constituents for a different attitude toward this than we have, then there would probably act with a different demeanor, Scott.
Sure. I mean, I think there's some of that, right? There's some of this, we say we want compromise. We say we want conciliatory working across that.
We say here in the Critical Thinking Forum, but if you...
No, but I mean, voters often say, depending on the poll, right? But yet voters tend to vote for firebrands, right? They tend to vote for the AOCs. They tend to not vote for the Joe. You compare the firebrands to the folks who are, the Fettermans or the people that are sort of, or at least have this sort of independent spirit, conciliatory spirit. They're, which ones have the majority. The other problem, I think, is that everything goes to the executive branch, right? We look to the president to do everything. So when your guy's in office, or gal, and hopefully one day it'll be gal, you say to them, go and just get everything done you can, and we've freighted everything over to the executive branch. And so, I think there's a combination of things. But I think, like I said, the founders imagined that the branches would be independent and would want their authority and respective space and boundaries, respected. That's just not the case, right? It just does not work when there's one party government. Seldom, again, you put Nixon was an exception, right? I mean, because he was really guilty. But in general, I think the only way we really get decent oversight is divided government.
Scott, when the founders created this system, and when they foresaw that there would be jealousy between the three branches, and that would imbalance one upon the other, they did not write into the Constitution that there would be two parties.
No, of course not. But that's what it's evolved into, right?
Right. And
you also can't find any expression of Republican sentiment or a democratic democracy sentiment without a sense of faction. Faction always develops. There's not a proto form of democracy or republic you can think of that doesn't also have its own faction. Washington warned against it, but natural tendency of humans to form faction.
You mean you're saying that we are wired to be into tribalism?
We are biologically wired to set ourselves up in groups. Yes.
And Madison thought to some degree, right, the size and scope of the original republic would mitigate it because you'd have so many factions, right? Because it was so sizable that you have that would make the factionism more manageable, right? But yeah, of course the founders didn't envision this problem. But this is what we have, right? We have a partisan system, which, yeah, it's not great. Some days I think I'm envious of people in a Westminster parliamentary system, right? We just win a majority and run the table until people are tired of you. And then the other party gets governed, right? And, it has fewer checks for minorities. It's in some ways more efficient, but our system unfortunately seems to require divided government to work, to actually function the way the founders wanted it.
The best part of the Westminster parliamentary system are the backbenchers. I love it. It's exciting. Okay. It's fun to watch. Billy, followed by...
Hello, gentlemen and ladies.
That's a great start. See how he started, Scott and Marshall, with gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah, but it's
excellent, Billy. Excellent. Whether it's true or not, it is greatly...
It's going downhill from here, believe me. Do I want it investigated? For example, when someone says to his IRS, I don't want to be investigated. I don't want me or my family ever to have any of our taxes to be audited ever again. That is something only a criminal would ask for. Yes or no? What do you think?
Well, nobody wants to be audited. Billy, you don't want to be audited, and neither do I. And
I absolutely want to be audited. I pay my taxes.
I don't want to
make
be
a point
audited.
here.
Screw
I'm making
that.
a point here. Only a thief says don't audit me. Only a thief.
No, I said don't audit me because it involves like far too much participation on my part. If you audit somebody, you have to go back and you have to get all of their like original records. I only know this because my parents went through it, right? Like it's an incredible inconvenience on the person being asked.
My time. If we're